In 2012, Red Bull sponsored a record-breaking skydive by Austrian daredevil Felix Baumgartner. Baumgartner jumped from a helium balloon more than 24 miles above the Earth's surface. That's 127,852 feet. That's how high this Austrian skydiver and base jumper had to jump to break the world altitude record for a human freefall and, in the process, exceed the speed of sound. If you have a phobia of heights, this video is not for you. But for those of you who love a thrilling story, buckle in. In this video, we'll give you all the sweet deets of the Red Bull Stratos mission and the amazing story behind it. On April 28, 1969, a baby was born to the Baumgartner family. The young and adventurous Felix grew up on the streets of Salzburg. Even though his father was a carpenter and his mother grew up on a farm with 15 siblings, young Felix always dreamed of skydiving and flying helicopters after being inspired by the many astronauts he had seen on TV. He liked to climb trees and be up high, dreaming about the days he would leap from extreme heights and glide back down to Earth. Even at the age of 5, he was said to have drawn a picture of himself hanging underneath the parachute. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? Fast forward 11 years later, that piece of art proved to be prophetic because at the age of 16, which is the legal age for skydiving in Austria, Felix made his way to his local skydiving club where he made his first jump. His passion for diving pushed him to become a member of the demonstration and competition team of the Austrian military, where he sharpened his parachute skills. Just when he thought he had achieved everything he ever dreamt of as a teenager, in the mid-1990s, Felix discovered base jumping, which expanded his diving skills even further. Not long after that, Felix Baumgartner was ready for the big leagues. As fate would have it, he began cooperating with Red Bull by performing numerous skydiving exhibitions for him. The two couldn't have been better suited than they were. Felix has an adventurous spirit that always pushes the boundaries of what is humanly possible any chance he gets, and Red Bull is a company with innovative thinking and futuristic mindset. The partnership has continued ever since. Now that you know who Felix is and why you shouldn't try anything he does at home, let's tell you about how that adventurous kid from an ordinary family who grew up on the streets of Salzburg attempted a free fall from space that caused millions to hold their breath just a decade ago. Red Bull Stratos sought to surpass human limits and advance scientific discoveries for the benefit of humankind. For Felix Baumgartner, the mission was to become the first human to travel at Mach 1, or the speed of sound, without an aircraft. Let's put that into context for you. The fastest speed measured in a Formula 1 speed test was 256.753 miles per hour. Are you shocked now? Good. To achieve such impossible speeds, Felix also had to fall from impossible heights. 127,852.4 feet to be exact. Again, for some context, the tallest building known to man is the Burj Khalifa, which only goes as high as 1,921 feet. Now here's where the science begins. Felix Baumgartner's spacesuit had to be designed for temperatures around negative 97.6 degrees Fahrenheit or about negative 72 degrees Celsius. For such an otherworldly design, the David Clark Company was contracted to create the suit. Its surprisingly unbulky form also played a role in shaping the suits of Air Force pilots and astronauts. This was achieved by reducing the pressure to allow for a lot more mobility, which every pilot in the military will more than thank you for. Using a suit like that, everything gets a little bit thinner. Not long after having the suit and everything being planned out, the 24th day in October of 2012 had come, and the time for scientific theories was over. Now the practical tests were here. Felix Baumgartner was so nervous that he barely slept the night before. But that did not deter him from getting up as early as 2 a.m. to get ready for the expedition. The adrenaline, the euphoria, the warm sunrise, the rush of emotions. For Red Bull, this was another experiment. But for Felix, this was the day he would engrave his name in the great books of history. The balloon that took Felix up to space was enormous, spanning the size of 33 football pitches and twice as high as the Saturn V rocket they used for the Apollo missions to get to the moon. It was 10 times thinner than a sandwich bag, but filled with helium, it weighed 3,708 pounds, or 1,682 kilograms, and carried 835,000 cubic meters when full. The first 3,000 feet of the ascent were critical, known by the team as the Death Main. In total, it took 18 to 20 people to move the balloon around very delicately to avoid any damage. According to Baumgartner, one of the most difficult parts of the mission was having to spend 8 hours with his visor shut. This was particularly a psychological stumbling block that may have ended the entire project before it even started. It quickly became a nightmare for him at a certain altitude because his anxiety started kicking in, claustrophobia was becoming more and more evident, and it was getting harder and harder to breathe inside the helmet. Breathing was so hard that Felix was quoted saying, "It's hard to breathe inside a helmet like this. It's almost like you're breathing through a pillow." His suit of scientific wonder suddenly became his worst enemy. 39,969.4 kilometers high, and Felix had reached his maximum height. That was just as high as the fragility of the balloon could take him without ripping into shreds. The easy part was over. Now was the time for the hard part, the jump. It took Felix just 34 seconds to go supersonic as he reached a top speed of 844 miles per hour or 1,358 kilometers per hour. His goal of being the first human outside an aircraft to break the sound barrier had been achieved, but his journey had just begun. A villain was awaiting him at 60,000 feet known as the Armstrong Line. The Armstrong Line is the altitude where blood begins to boil, if not within a pressurized suit. But Felix was smart enough to start his flight from double that height by 62,000 feet. Having flipped through the air, he stabilized in thicker air and enjoyed the experience from there. Looking back, Felix recalled that after getting the problem solved, that was the first moment where I had time to enjoy the beauty of nature. It took 14 minutes for him to get back to Earth from his capsule, half of which was spent in freefall. His pressurized spacesuit had 20 minutes of oxygen within it, allowing him time in the then depressurized cabin before takeoff and for the flight itself. Felix landed safely, and the successful mission to the edge of space broke world records and provided valuable medical and scientific data for future pioneers. A lot of learnings from the skydive have been applied to the military. The entire event was broadcast live around the world, captivating millions of viewers and cementing Baumgartner's place in history as a true modern-day hero. The Red Bull Stratos mission was a testament to the limits of human achievement and the power of the human spirit to push boundaries and defy the impossible. From traditional skydiving at the age of 16 to base jumping and then the Red Bull Stratos, Felix Baumgartner sure has a remarkable story. Remember that prophetic piece of artwork Felix designed when he was 5 years old? His mother showed it to him for the first time a year after Red Bull Stratos. After reflecting on this, Felix said, "You don't even think about skydiving or breaking any records at the age of 5. But it looks like there was something in my mind already growing like a seed that you planted somewhere. Looking at that picture and then knowing it happened 40 years later is quite impressive." Whoever you are and wherever you are watching this video, there is a seed planted in you, and all you have to do is take that leap and let it grow. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe to the channel for more mind-blowing videos like this, and hit the notifications bell so you'll catch our latest videos as soon as they release. Now check out these videos. You'll love them.